said, fuck it. We'll do it live. Recording right now. All right, everybody. We got a special spoiler cast. I guess we could call this a Zoobox Goes to the Movies episode, kind of like an extra bonus one for the week.
Yeah.
To talk about this. We got to do it. And we got to do it spoiler fashion. Dan and I have seen the film Tenet, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, starring John Washington Denzel. Is that his name?
I don't know. He's a Denzel. That's all I
Robert
know.
Pattinson. Elizabeth.
What are you talking about? Denzel Washington? Why would they name his last kid?
Oh yeah,
Washington Denzel.
John David Washington. I was literally thinking his last name was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might as well be. It could have been.
Son Denzel. Yeah. So we got to talk about this. I mean, Dan and I were pretty excited for this. I think you were, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a Nolan nerd? Do you like Nolan?
I like. I mean, like, I'll be honest and say that my least favorite Nolan films are probably the Dark Knight series.
I agree.
Like, those are my least. Not that they're bad, not that they're not awesome, but he has this amazing way with time and manipulation, and obviously we'll get into it with this film. But like, fuck, man, like, fuck yeah, like, I love Christopher Nolan. I don't know if I'm a nerd, but I love all the way from Back in the Following and Memento, and
yeah,
like, it's got so many like threads that, like, you can see he's been building some sort of idea of time. Like, he must be driving himself fucking crazy. That's all I can say.
I mean, it is the prevailing theme of all of his movies, going all the way back to like Following, his first like kind of studio film, and then Memento deals a lot with time because it deals with the reversal of time, because you're watching the story in reverse. But
can we go through his movies?
Yeah,
because I don't think like hold on, I'll pull him up if you, or do you want to do it?
I can do it.
Because, like, let's just go through the list real quick. Let's just go over like his career, because I'm gonna say even a film like Dunkirk is a lot to do with time. Like,
Dunkirk is literally a ticking clock in the soundtrack.
Right.
Dunkirk is a beautiful movie, and people dismissed it because they watch it once. But if you do not get the experience of Dunkirk until you watch it a second time, because of all of the timeline stuff is all weird. Like, all the events are not happening simultaneously like you feel it is. They're actually all happening at way different times, and then they all like kind of come together at the end, and it makes it an incredible experience. But so his first movie is Following, which was like his student film, basically. It's like a neo-noir weird movie. I've only ever seen it once.
I just want to give my, like, I think it would be fun for me, like, so I don't know if you want to do this, but just really quick, like, you'll spend the first couple minutes building, like, so, like, in my opinion, Following, it's how you use your time, what you do with your time, like, as like a bored person, like, and then it becomes addictive what you do with your time. So I guess it's like, that's my interpretation of The Following. That's what I got from it.
I think that's a perfect interpretation of the movie in terms of relative to how he's using time as a device, a narrative device, right?
Yes.
And Memento, obviously, it's the gimmick movie. It plays backwards. People dismiss it, though. Dude, I watched it a couple weeks ago. It's still a great movie.
But it's also I think it kind of ties into Tenet in a particular way. And then this might have been where he started building out the narrative and the framework for something like Tenet. Like, that could be, I kind of been feeling when I was watching it, I asked myself this question. I said, shit, if I watched Inception before this movie, or like Memento, would it ruin this movie? Like, I asked myself, like, would it ruin it? Because there's just too much going on. Like, I don't know. But okay, continue.
Well, I mean, to answer that question, I think, because I have watched a bunch of Nolan's films the past couple weeks.
Sure.
You are in the headspace of Nolan. It makes it easy to predict where he was going in Tenet with some of that stuff. Like, it was easy to kind of really, really early on be like, oh, I know what's going on.
Well, I
was like in the headspace of Nolan.
And I agree, but it's the manipulation of, and honestly, it's something that his filmmaking process, or how he builds these ideas within our structural world, like within our physical world, that is very instinctual, or if you watch something Memento where there's like an instinct, because that's really all he has to go on is instinct, this gut instinct and the manipulation and the misrepresentation of time in his own mind. So like it's this like all his movies are very instinctual. And I know we'll talk about Inception, but the same thing with Inception. Like your brain, the manipulation of the dreamscape, which obviously skews time and you could be lost there forever, but it's also how your brain has these defense mechanisms and like these things that can catch. It's just interesting. And I feel like this movie really put a lot of the pieces together from his previous films.
Well, because a lot of his films are a lot about relative perception of time. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, in Tenet, I would say
this is the ultimate.
It is, but because you literally have to understand that like in real time, the relative perception as two things are happening at the same time, basically, because you have to think about the entropy of the world going forward, but also going in reverse at the same time because of what they're doing.
It hurts your head a little bit when you're watching. You're like,
I think it's gonna be hard for you to talk about. It's like so much to take in when you first watch. Like when I walked into the theater, I was like, okay, I got mixed feelings, but I was also like bewildered because I was like, especially going to see it on an IMAX and everything, like the sound was so loud and in the best awesome like abrasive way. I just felt like shook. I'm like
I
had like PTSD from that last sequence, like watching the soldiers run backwards. And
dude.
But, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But there is a when I was driving home, like, if you guys want to go back, listen to some earlier episodes. There's an episode is when I have to do a drive of shame because someone shit on me. So if you want to go back to one of those earlier episodes, it's one of the first few episodes we did.
Episode 2.
But I had that same feeling, like this weird, like outer body, just kind of like looking like, holy shit, like what's going on? All right. Like trying to take it in because I knew I was coming home to do this. But all right, so you
start driving erratically, like because you can like still hear the music like echoing in my head in your skull. You're like yeah.
That is one. I don't know who does not the cinematography,
the score.
The score, yeah.
Yep.
Got to even it up, but it's okay. So we got Memento. What's next?
After Memento is Insomnia with that was with Robert. It's Robin Williams and Al Pacino.
All right, we already listen. Which is also time. Everything is about because he misinterprets time because there's lack of daylight, lack of and so drives you crazy and stuff.
And also when he's trying to create the forensic evidence to clear himself of accidentally shooting his partner. So there's all sorts of layers messing. Batman Begins.
Batman Begins.
Not too much like time stuff, other than unless you want to like. I mean, there's kind of a ticking clock at the end of the movie in the sense he's trying to stop them. But I don't think there's a direct time thing. And that one, The Dark or The Prestige, definitely, because it has it's not really time so much as it is perspective. Like you see the story from different perspectives, which creates like a different tableau, and they use that to reveal mysteries and whatnot.
Which within itself is the representation of time for really two individuals, like how time for Hugh Jackman's character.
Well, it's about timing.
And
because of the magic tricks.
But even more so because when it's very early, relatively early in the movie when Hugh Jackman's character and one of the Christian Bales, hint if you haven't seen it, sorry, one of the Christian Bales, and they're looking at this old Asian man and he goes, that's the trick, because the way he walks, he's actually always that's the trick. Like it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah, he lives the ruse.
Yeah, so there's the time there. I can make it work anything. Okay, I'm on point right now. So
okay, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, there's a bomb scene in it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I know that, but that's not it's not direct. It's like that's the same thing as saying there's a train with this thing that's going to evaporate all the water.
Oh, I don't make the rules of time. Christopher Nolan does.
Nolan does. He's the master. And then Inception, obviously, as they go deeper into the dreamscape, time expands and contracts. So you could live 10 years and then wake up after a 10-minute trip or whatever. And then after that, The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, listen.
Well, I guess, you could say he must have done some sort of time travel. How did he get back to Gotham? Okay. Interstellar, that definitely deals with time.
Yeah.
Black holes, the fifth dimension.
Yeah, and then manipulation of through interdimensional shifts and like sending messages back in time while
They left
being
that fucker up there for 30 years. That bitch should have left that data behind.
oh
Okay.
my god,
He was
Jesus.
so happy to see them, though.
Yeah.
My old friends. Oh, what's going on, bro? We just left.
Tars is like left out in like the nether forever or whatever.
Poor bastard.
Poor
Imagine being
bastard.
that guy.
Yeah, but he must have like some power. Then again, they probably use like some sort of like nuclear like energy to make him run forever or something. I don't know.
Who, the guy that gets left up in the ship? Remember when they go to
Oh
the water
no! I'm
planet?
talking about the robot Tars. Isn't that his name or
Oh,
whatever?
that's a different guy. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking. He's the one that gets left behind in the
No, no.
fucking nether.
When they go to
Don't they?
the water planet, there's the first planet they have to go to see
No, I
if
know
there's
you're
signs
talking
of
about the
life.
black guy. You're talking about the black guy
Yeah,
in the ship.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
I'm there. I'm there, dude. I'm there.
Okay, so Interstellar, there's a lot of time stuff. Dunkirk is about mechanically time comes into the way he decides to tell that story. And I think Dunkirk is his best movie. I think it's the thing that plays to all of his strengths, and he gets to kind of get away from the things he's not good at. He's a clunky as fuck dialogue writer. He cannot, he stops his movies dead in the tracks, like, okay, mate, now we're going to talk about the way this works for 5 minutes. Like,
I mean,
which is fine.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
you got to find better ways to, I think Tenet,
It's exposition.
and
Yeah.
in Tenet's defense, Tenet does the best
Oh,
job of
have
doing
to.
that stuff while on the move. Because we'll talk about it, but it feels like this was like really like leanly edited. Like you could have made a 4 hour version of Tenet and like
Mm.
really built out what's going on, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now we're at Tenet. Obviously, it deals with entropy. It deals with the way time moves forwards and backwards. And somebody in the future has developed a technology where they can reverse the entropy on objects, and then they're able to reverse the entropy on people, which is something you kind of find out about halfway through. You think it's just objects at first, and then they just keep revealing like that it goes actually deeper and deeper until they reveal like they're purposely trying to kill us in the past because the future is so horrible. That's
Well, I
kind of
guess there's I mean since I just watched it right near the end, there is the discussion at the like when they're in the place where they're gonna drop it when he before he dies, before the main Russian guy, whatever it is, the arms dealer guy or Antov or whatever the hell. But like they're having a discussion and through the radio, and he's like, everything. There's no rivers. There's no green. Like it's just a horrible gray existence. Like is basically what he says.
yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you're still able to make sweet. If you can make a thing that can reverse entropy and you can't figure out,
I know.
you
It's a
can't
little.
figure out
That's fair. That's
but
fair.
okay, so Dan, I
Mm.
mean, we haven't even really asked you like, did you like Tenet? So walking out of Tenet, like, how did you feel?
I honestly loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I would give it a 8.5 up there 9. Like I enjoyed it a lot, but like dude, just the oh my god, I don't know how he does it. But like there's so in the opening there is some sort of terrorist event that takes place in an opera house, right? And everyone's familiar with this, but there's
yeah,
this
it's a
dude,
great fucking opening too.
this guy films like the way he films uh uh like these very tactical like these guys are on their fucking shit. Like I'm not saying they were but like when you watch a Hollywood movie and you're like, oh, they didn't really pay attention to detail, and like no, like the way they were shoot, dude, it almost made me cry. Like it was that intense. Like it was like that
No,
fucking
seriously,
intense.
yeah, it really is. It really
Like
is.
like you're like but like the way the guys actually shoot and move is so fucking real. Like it is
Yeah.
so visceral. Like I was sitting there, I literally almost teared up. Like it was that intense. Like I was like, oh my
Oh,
god, I'm
dude,
a
with that fucking with that music and like,
dude.
and dude, seeing like Christopher Nolan movies literally make the best argument for going to a movie theater sometimes. Like I will never watch a Christopher Nolan movie like without going to see it on IMAX. Like I will go see it on IMAX every single time now.
Oh, I'm
Cuz
not
like
driving 100 miles
no,
to go
I know,
see
I'm
it.
just saying like but if you had access to it, it's like worth the extra money cuz it's so like
Dude,
engrossing.
I can't imagine because I was basically alone in the theater. And I was just sitting. I was sitting in the best seat in the house. Like people were coming in, like fuck, like they're like fuck, like I like that look, like damn it. And it was great. I mean, I don't know what the IMAX experience was like, but just
Oh
even
no,
if you don't have IMAX, dude, it's worth to go watch. If you're not in a reasonable driving distance of IMAX, or you're a little bit low on cash, it's worth to go see even in the regular theater, in my
well,
opinion.
because it's so like the theatrical experience in its best time, and kind of right now, since people aren't going to the theater in droves, you're probably not going to have a full house.
Yeah,
People are,
dude.
and people that go to these movies actually want to be there, so they're not there fucking talking to each other. So
Yeah,
like you get that dark room, you get that full kind of immersion into it, and Christopher Nolan like makes movies that kind of demand to be seen because they're so big. Even that
dude.
fucking opening is so it takes place inside of a building, but it feels like huge. Like you
Yeah,
just feel like you're in the room, and then the way the score kicks in and the crazy confusing shit that's going on, and you don't really know who's who or who's working for who or what is what. Like it completely kicks you in the face, like in the beginning of the movie.
yeah.
You have no
And
fucking idea what's going on.
oh god, that little plot twist at the end, and you're like, oh, like dude, oh, like it's so good, so good. It's one of these things where honestly, the most annoying part of the film to me was the protagonist woman. Not that she was bad. That I just her as a plot device. I was like, bro, you're saving the fucking world. But then I keep telling myself, I'm like, but this means it has to happen. Like I like anything that involves her, it has to happen.
Yeah.
For not for plot device or anything, but because it has to. Like according to the story, these things must take place.
Well,
And
you're trying.
also like
Well, I think Nolan understands that like you need to humanize these stories because it's like the concept on its own is abstract. It's very cool. It's very interesting. But if I don't have anything to attach myself,
if there's no
and
weight.
yeah, you got to add some gravity, some stakes, some
Yeah,
human stakes.
just the entire, existence of humankind is
Well,
not
but that's
weighty enough.
it's too abstract of a concept for people to be able to like understand on a one-to-one level. Like,
Okay,
you know
fair.
what I'm saying? That's so
That's
when you're making a movie like this as a storyteller, I understand why he does it. He's
even
he's
Superman needs
fucking
to be humanized.
he's awful at it. He's never like Inception. He barely got away with it. He
Um,
because that is the clunkiest shit in the movie. Is
is
because
up with life. Yeah,
he doesn't execute on it very well, and because he really I think does it. It's almost like he has to do it, so he's doing it. He
I
wants to
think
go and show you the fun, fucking weird science fiction shit, and weird
I actually think
interrogations spoken in
I,
backwards.
he did it. He did it really well in Memento, but it's because you never actually see, like, there the stakes are there, but because of what happened to the main character's wife, like the stakes are there
For him,
already.
yeah, for him
Yeah.
personally, yeah,
So,
you
but
don't
like,
need another character, yeah.
yeah, there's like no other reason that's his driving force. So you kind of take that away, and in Memento, honestly, the fucking assistant stars or whatever they're called, the supporting actors are amazing.
Oh,
Honestly,
everybody's great in that.
I
But
I will I will say this, Washington, uh, he's okay. Like
yeah, he's a little flat.
but like I'm like, is that well? Then again, I was while I was watching, I was going, well, he has to be. So, and my
Yes.
main my main thinking is this: well, he's like a CIA operative, like hardcore dude. Like he's obviously doing the most deep, like black underground shit.
Well, yeah, he's even willing to take a suicide pill.
Yeah,
Like
like but
he's
like
like that. He's at that level before you get to the afterlife, which
right.
is when you can discover Tenet.
And did he die? We can go down that road, but
I'm looking forward to watching some like deep analysis on Tenet because I'm sure there's so much stuff that I missed.
oh, I
I
can't
mean,
imagine
but
honestly.
John David Washington, his character, he doesn't have a name. He goes as the protagonist. That's
Yeah,
his fucking name.
yeah.
In the credits, his name is the protagonist.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where maybe a name would be too much, like.
Well, I think it's like a video. It's like almost like he is like Nolan is telling you that like this is you. Like this is your video game character. and he's going to go through this kind of wild journey. We're just going to follow this guy
What
because
what
he
did
doesn't
what,
like. They never make a case for his character being like, is he like just like a proud American? Like, what is the deal with him? Like, why would
no, I think it comes down to
other
in the
than saving the world?
well, I mean, even in the because it's bigger than that, right? So, but even in the beginning, which is why like the test is the pill, right? Like the test is to
Yeah,
see,
you're
if
that
you'll
committed.
go that if no, not even committed, if you'll go that next step, right? I guess you could say committed, sure, but I'm just saying like go to the next level where most people would not, and it's beyond. It's someone who is obsessed with success of their mission. So you will take it to its final conclusion, which in the relative retrospect of the film, after you watch it, and I'm excited to watch it again, it is a cyclical by nature. Like so, like the whole entire process is that there is ultimate sacrifice. It's constant. It is constant. It never ends because
Yeah,
the mission always continues because there is no way for it not to. It has to go so like when you get to the end of the movie and you basically find out he's the constructor, he's the orchestrator or whatever, like the um
well,
what is it,
he's basically Tenet. He's like he's in charge of this mission.
right, which means
The time pincher, is that what it's called?
the time pincer, yeah.
Pincer, like mission. He's actually he's in the future at some point. It can't be that far in the future because Robert Pattinson isn't that old.
Oh no, they say hundreds of years.
Did he say
But
hundreds of years? Oh,
that well they they talk about they don't specify when the technology is advanced or when they figure it out. They don't specify when it happens, and they don't also specify is that what led the world to go to the way it is by having figured out this technology, and then could that have corrupted like a certain future people that ended up, so that's why they're really trying, that's
yeah.
how they're trying to save the world, and it's not supposed to be clear, I don't think, but
No,
but
and that's a very Nolan thing. He doesn't explain anything
and
like
and
that.
honestly, but the way he ends the film gives you the sense of there. This is one of the. This is not like there's a conclusion, but there's not. Feels very conclusive for something that I've seen. Like it has a note that you go, there's a little bit of hope there. Like there's actually hope that there's like some control
Yeah.
going on. Like
Well,
because you look at Inception, no control. Memento, no control. Dunkirk, there's definitely control because that's a historical, I guess, sense. But Interstellar, like,
well, Interstellar ends on a very optimistic note.
well, optimistic, but then there's also the sense of like hope, right? There's definitely hope there. But what you do see is the hero or the protagonist in the story actually have like almost a there because of the timeline that you can't see yet, but he continues to go on, like you for a fact.
Oh yeah.
You're like there's an absolutist future for this character.
It probably made him feel pretty baller because he's like, well, I made it.
Well, that's the thing though.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that Nolan stole from my fucking dreams my concept for time travel? What a bitch! Because that's what I always say. I'm like, if it happened, it always happened. Like,
I mean, I was hoping
dick.
Sylvester Stallone was going to be starring in this movie. That would have been sick.
Dude, that would have been real sick. Actually,
like young CGI, like ripped, and then like you get Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Oh, that's Irishman. Sorry. Like I really liked the movie and the panic. Man, this movie's really good at putting panic in front of you, where you're like, oh my god, dude! The first time, so when they do I love this movie, dude. It's a spy movie. It's a like a robbery movie. There's like
science fiction, military, like SWAT team movie. Like it's all of he literally Nolan just like fucking blasted his load like all over this film. He was like, this is everything I love.
Rolling in it, dude.
Give me $300 million, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but the set pieces in this film, they're all beautiful. They're all orchestrated in a very unique way. Yeah, like it's practical, but then so I want to know, which I know I was like, is this CGI? Did they film this? I don't think they did. But in this there's time travel, but then there's also not time travel. It's really weird because there's time travel, but there isn't, because all you can switch moments almost in a sense.
Well, no, you can just go in the reverse of flow of time. So
Right.
that's
The
what
reverse.
I was saying, but like about the Robert Pattinson thing. I'm like, well, he can't be from that far in the future. He's not like an old man because he would have to travel back through time, like but it's not like faster.
No, it's not faster. It's so crazy, dude. But like, and that's the, but like, I do like the way they at least, like he plays his hands a little bit too much sometimes. I will say that about Nolan. Like he plays his hand a little early. Like when you're talking about like they have to bring up fire, they have to bring up that fire cold, and you're like, come on.
They well, you know what they could have done? Just literally explained it after it happened, and been like, he's like, why didn't I burn up? Well, let me tell you. Like, because we already know. But I think what he's hoping is that there are so many things going on. He's throwing so much stuff that you just forget.
Well, my question is this, and this is where I call bullshit on this whole entire fucking premise of this movie. So you're gonna tell me that if you fall into water, you don't get wet? This actually, you know what I mean? Like, it's impossible because you can't. And this is the one thing. Okay, so when you go through the machine and then you beat the time travel weird reverse thing, and you go through it, but you can continue because your like molecular structure is built for the old way that you were. That's why you need to have like a mask to breathe oxygen and all that stuff. But you can still continue to move forward, and technically there would be no gravity. Like there would be like the inverse.
They do talk about so like gravity's weird, like
but like then again,
but you're actually moving backwards. So is there like the sense that like there is a version of you that is?
Do people not see you?
No, they see you because obviously Kenneth Branagh saw him when he was doing this car chase, right? This second half of the car chase.
Can you not? It gets pretty weird because when
they even tell you, they say don't meet yourself. We don't know what will happen.
Don't meet yourself. Don't touch yourself.
Or touch yourself. Yeah.
That's why they wear those suits so that you don't actually touch their skin. Like, because if you do, you'll fucking create a black hole or something. 2 Washingtons touching is a black hole, I guess. But it's one of those. There's a lot going on in this film. Like there is a lot going on, and this is not a movie. This is definitely not a one-time viewing. This is something that you're just gonna have to go. I'm gonna need to watch it again. I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like what he seeded throughout to foreshadow and stuff that I missed. Although I'll be honest, I picked up a lot on the first go.
Because I was really picking it up.
Like, they have Elizabeth Debicki's character Kat. She's like talking about seeing a woman jump off her husband's boat, right? And they make a note of like showing you, and then she's like, "Oh, it was like I wish I could be here." But I was like, "Oh, that's her." Immediately, I was like, because this is a time movie, they're fucking with time. I'm like, that's her from the future, whatever. And then also when Robert Pattinson, when they're having that first fight with Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, when they're going backwards,
yes,
in the hallways and shit, and then Robert Pattinson's chasing one of them.
Yeah.
And then he pulls his helmet off, and then he's like, "Oh." Yeah. Like I knew right away. I was like, "Oh, that's John David Washington." I guarantee you.
Did they see that?
No, I don't remember. You don't see it.
No, I know. I just don't remember him pulling the helmet off.
Yeah, you just see Robert Pattinson's expression, his reaction to seeing who it is.
Yeah, but then you could have thought it was himself. That would have been a possible too.
Oh, that too. Yeah, it could have.
You had a good but that's what the movie's playing off of your natural instincts too. Like he wouldn't have stopped aggressing towards a person unless it was important. It's
oh no, I know that. No, and once he sees who it is, obviously he stops. So and then he has a shocked look on his face.
And I do like the representation of ignorance and how do they say that's their greatest weapon is ignorance, right? Like you can't really get people to, even though they break that rule like a few times in this film, like they do break the ignorance rule quite a couple times. So like when Washington goes back in time or whatever, and then 2 days before he meets with the Indian woman, the arms dealer woman or whatever, the facilitator,
Yeah, I
and
know who you're
she's
talking
like,
about,
what,
the
like,
middleman.
yeah, the middleman, like she's woman, so, woman,
Sorry,
woman,
yeah.
woman. But meets her again, and then he tells her to not do something, but then tells her to do so. You're like, hold on, like,
No,
because you're breaking the ignorance rule in a
she
sense, like,
well, no, she's saying that like she knows that like, well, you're telling me I did this, so that's what I'm going to do. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you can't change anything. I guess because I apparently no matter what, like so if you had foreknowledge of something, the circumstances that end up playing out are going to end up playing out the same because there's going to be something to make you conform to the choice you knew you were going to make.
yeah, but that's also not true because that's the reason he doesn't come back when he rips the helmet off of the reverse Washington, and he comes back and he doesn't tell him anything because it
Yeah, no,
has to go that way.
well, because because this is he's new to this. He doesn't want to, and he doesn't. I don't think it really would actually matter. I think that's just the character being like,
No,
it's
because they
kind of a
bring it.
contrived things.
No, because they bring it up in the battle plan. Same thing when they're doing the main thing. Like they were having a meeting at this time, an hour later they were having another meeting, and everyone's like, "Well, what does that mean?" He's like, it's on a need to know, and you don't need to know." So like to the foot soldiers and these people who are constantly interacting with this time parallel thing that they're doing, like they understand what they're doing. So
No,
I
I agree that they know what they're doing, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it's just like a precaution they take. But at the end of the day, if even if everybody knew, there's a good chance that it would just happen that way anyways. Like the context for those choices to be made will arise, and you'll be forced to do it, or there'll be a reason that leads you to decide like that is what I need to do. I think Robert Pattinson. I think you can make the argument like, oh, maybe that's like a little contrived, a little bad writing because Robert Pattinson obviously thinks this. He has a strong belief. He says it like 50 times. What happened always happened. I mean, he literally said,
yeah no
this is another Nolan thing where he's like, listen, I want to make sure that you understand.
no but because but then again it has happened. So
Yes.
like but like it hadn't either. Like so that's what he's saying. He goes, well, what do you call it? And he goes, reality, because
Yeah.
whatever is taking place at that moment is reality, and
Yes.
and like you can't change the past,
No.
but you can
He
only
always he always went back and talked to that Indian lady. He always like those things always happened. They always
right.
happened.
They always happened, but then not exactly.
No, they did exactly.
No, well
You just
they
didn't see it. You didn't see it because it's not the perspective you saw the story from.
That's true. That could be true.
I mean,
I was
'cause-
just thinking, no, because damn, no, fuck.
yeah.
It's so complicated, bro. You're like, and how they control how far they go back? Like, they don't
Well,
really,
but
like,
this is what I'm talking about.
clarify that.
Like, you have to just go in real time backwards. Like, it's not like you get to go faster.
Well, so they
So,
had to go through 14 days back in time to go back
I guess so.
to,
And
like,
they stay in those boxes, those shipping
yeah.
containers that is
Yeah.
like so they don't feel the physical effects of it. But that is what's happening.
Oh, yeah, they have the little plastic up on the walls.
Yes.
That's cool. But, like, it's complicated. This is why his movies are fun, because you leave them with a lot of questions, with a lot of debate, and and you could even say that might be intentional for the dialogue to be so clunky, to be a little like
No, some of it's supposed to be cool because he's a big fan of. If you like Christopher Nolan movies, I would suggest both Dan and then people at home go check out the films of Michael Mann. Go check out movies like Heat, Manhunter. Heat is Christopher Nolan's favorite movie ever.
I've seen.
And you should watch Heat. It's. Oop, you there?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Okay.
We're good.
Heat is an incredible movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. And if you watch Heat and then go watch a Christopher Nolan movie, you're gonna be like, oh, he's trying to make Michael Mann movies. Like, just the way his shooting style, his dialogue style is very similar to Michael Mann. But there's a line at the end of the movie when he's just like, so I feel like this is the end of a beautiful friendship, and he's like, and I guess it's just beginning for me. I was like, you didn't have to say that. Like, we got it. Like,
No,
just let that
no,
moment.
that's not what
Let that
happened. Sean, I
let
just watched it. That's not what happened.
let the beautiful moment hang
You,
because he knows that what's his name is gonna die. Robert Pattinson's gonna die in the tunnel because he's got to
yeah,
go back one more time to put this final piece in place,
yeah.
and so they can open the
But
door.
and he's also never going to be able to tell him and keep him in ignorance when he meets him years later.
What do you mean? No, he just doesn't tell him, or maybe
No,
he did tell him.
no, bro.
What?
Listen, they talk. He says at the end of the movie, he's like, "I've known you for years, but you
Yes,
just met me."
I
And then
know.
he
I know what
goes
it
like, "You're
means.
gonna meet me in the future." Yeah, so he's gonna meet him in the future in years
I
from
know.
that moment.
I
So like,
know.
that's what I'm saying. That's where they talk about in the car. They're driving
No, I'm
after they
talking. I'm
help.
talking about that. It's just a bad line of dialogue that is not. It's awkward and clunky, and it's not as cool as Nolan thinks it sounds.
I thought it was fine.
Because
I thought it was fine. Everybody.
I was just like, yo, dude, I get it, and it would have been better if it just hangs there and he just like looks at him, or Robert Pattinson says, "But you'll see me again.
Well, no one's perfect,
But
but
you'll be seeing me.
Nolan.
But you'll be seeing me sooner than rather than later." Like,
Yeah, yeah, like it's a beautiful moment between two friends who don't really know each other.
it's just, I think part of it is John David Washington's kind of delivery. It's so like
It's
ham-fisted sometimes.
But then again, like it's a guy that really is not very emotional, dealing with emotion, and you never really seen him have much emotion besides like maybe getting mad or frustrated,
Is
but you
he
don't
like
really see him.
is he like
Yeah,
the Wojak, the crying Wojak meme, but with the NPC face over it?
yep, that's probably him, dude. I mean, but like you got to think, the dehumanization of what I would guess this guy had to go through to get to that point. He literally had to kill himself, or at least think he's going to kill himself. Like he dehumanized everything. Like, and that's why everything's for quote unquote the greater good. But for some reason,
Yeah.
like humanity is held on to this woman and her child who he hasn't even banged. Like, come on, man. At least get
She's
one
like
in.
7 feet tall too. She's like a
Dude, she is
gazelle.
the neck on that chick. The neck on it, dude. Like that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, Jesus.
Oh my God, you're more giraffe than woman, aren't you? Huh?
Pretty much. She had them long legs, man.
You're a pale giraffe, huh?
She
Kenneth
looked like
Branagh
a
couldn't handle all that.
she looked like half a spider man, half a spider. That's what she looked like. She only
Yeah.
had 4 limbs. So I mean, it is what it is. But it's I don't know. Like I thought the guy that played the villain was really cool. I mean, he was all right. I mean, he wasn't bad, wasn't great. I think he was good.
I
He
think
fit.
he was chewing the scenery, as they call it. He's going big, and he was the most like animated person,
Dude,
like
that
actor.
that scene when he takes her into like the vault area with all the guns, and then he like beats the shit out of her, and you're like, oh shit. Like, do you remember that? He's like, yeah.
Yes.
And like, he is really the ultimate, like the Thanos type of villain,
Yeah.
where even worse than Thanos, honestly. Like, he
Honestly,
is.
that was the part of the plot that kind of just disappointed me a little bit, where I was kind of like, oh, I wish there was just a cooler way to get into this. We're getting in through this kind of arms dealer angle, and it was kind of like not
Well,
interesting.
it was a
I was
little
like,
like redundant. Like I've seen this like type of thing before.
and it feels, some of it, like the way things play out, just because it feels like he cut the fuck out of this movie. Like it's very tight. It almost feels like it doesn't make sense sometimes. You're like,
But is it
why are these,
supposed to?
like, no, because you're like, why are the characters doing this? Like, why? What is going? Like, why would Kenneth Branagh trust this dude fucking at all?
Well, I think there could also be. They talk about it a little bit where why would Washington, the character, the protagonist, why would he trust Robert Pattinson in the beginning? Like, who the hell? Why would you take him on a mission with you? Like, but I think really because they kind of go into it when
He's
they're
a dummy.
no, because they go into because it's very weird. Like they literally tell him what Tenet. They just like Tenet. They show him some shit, and then he just goes out. Like,
Well, they're not even, the guy who introduces Tenet to him is not even allowed to tell him what it is. He's like, it's a word, Tenet. You're gonna go there. You're gonna say this to somebody, and then they'll
yeah,
hook you up.
it's a lot of like figure it out, kid.
And I like,
But
I do like the secrecy and the way they build towards like explaining to you what it is and how it works. honestly, like that's some of the best stuff in the movie is like kind of the sense of discovery in the beginning.
Yeah,
For sure.
because
And
you're
the same,
learning as the protagonist goes.
and I think like Inception is kind of the same way, where it's like front loaded and it's like awesome, and then the
Mhm.
middle is a little like you're like, well, okay, there's a lot of exposition dumping, and then the ending, and then the last act is incredible.
Yeah.
I would say this kind of has that same almost structure to it.
I mean, it's got. I will say the middle is probably the lull of the movie, but it does. It's not. It's not bad.
Oh, Christopher
But like
Nolan.
the choreography, dude. Like
Oh, it's awesome.
I'm sitting there watching these fight scenes, and you're going, I know it's just choreography, but I'm like, my head hurts watching the choreography because I'm like, well, did they just film it in real time, like in forward and then
play it
reverse it?
backwards? No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. Yeah,
I think it's
it
a
doesn't.
mixture of both.
I think you would feel it like by watching it going back if it was actually just reverse footage.
No, they had
because
to reverse act and do weird because I was when I saw the 10th anniversary of Inception, there was like a 10-minute preview. I think it's on YouTube now where they do a little behind the scenes stuff. And they were doing some of that stuff in camera, like backwards.
I'm talking about the fight scene specifically.
No,
like
that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking
yeah.
about.
Okay, but because I was like, well, you would because there's this jerky motion you can't get rid of by actually having the it go backwards. So I was impressed with that. I was impressed with the interaction between Robert Pattinson and Washington. I actually liked their relationship the most in the film. I did like their relationship. There was a familiarity from the very beginning, like, and this is what I was saying because they talk about it that when they're in the trailer or the cargo hold or whatever, and he's going like he's obviously like mind blown because he just figured out that you can go like he himself could, but you have to like look at yourself before you go through the time machine thing. Like you have to see yourself or you can get trapped in there.
I guess is that what they're saying?
No, yeah, they say it right. He goes, make sure you look at yourself before you go through.
Well, to make sure that it worked. It's like a weird. Well, because you have to cross moments. Like as you're stepping in, this other thing's got to be stepping out.
It's got to be like. But then again, like it had. But no, because no matter what you do, you will be both stepping through at the same time if you're looking at each other. If you give each other a look.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like there's like this whole thing.
Yeah, but didn't you think that was gonna play into like the end of the movie somehow? About them not being able to see or something like that happening, and having to take a leap, take a leap of faith or whatever because they couldn't see.
That would have been crazy.
I was like, why are we? They spent so much time like doing that. I was like, oh, this is obviously going to be something they use at the end. Because they did not.
Because they can't. Because it's the cyclical in the structure of the time narrative. It's the only way that it can happen. Like it's the only way.
Well, I know that, but what I'm saying is, if the third act had been completely different, as I was watching the movie, I was expecting one of these machines doing this thing to play a role at the end of the movie and maybe have it so like they couldn't see the other side. There was
you mean
glass
like
shattered or something?
Yeah. Like
and then it
was like a wall blew down and like you couldn't see. Yeah,
and they had
that
to
would
just
cool.
like take a leap of faith to save each other or do something. You know what I'm saying?
That's obviously for Tenet too.
Teneter, even Teneter. What was I gonna say? What did you think of just like the finale, like the third act? It was pretty cool, just like when they were like just going through and backwards, moving forward. It was chaos.
Like, dude, when the guy is seeing the rocks move, like one of the combatants, like the good guys, he's seeing the rocks behind him like start moving, and he's like, "Get out of the building, get out of there!" And then like so the main like the commander female, because like that's realistic, but anyway, so like the commander female like jumps out, and then the person comes and the wall just closes, and they're like. Oh. And you're like, oh shit! Like, what happened to this person? Like, that's intense. Or when they do the coordinated, like time on their watch, where they both shoot rockets in different perspectives of time, and you're like, oh,
dude, it's like it was fun. It was straight chaos. Like you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, but like, and this is where and Robert Pattinson. His character does a leap of faith. So there is a moment where acting in his ignorance, he has to because he saw the guy set up the trap where it would blow up. But then, and this is even the crazier part, because he gets in there before anybody else, or at least he gets in there before anybody else in another time,
which is where he's going back to at the end of the movie.
Right, like he's like, I gotta go, man, and like, but oh man, like it is like, that's what I'm saying. He's literally sending him to his death, like, and it's like, but he can't fuck with it, because if he fucks, if Washington character, the protagonist, fucks with it, it could ruin everything that they've built. And he's like, because it's so layered, it's so many layers. It's like Inception. You're like, what? Like, what's real? But what?
Well,
is it
especially
real?
The first time you watch it. I would say I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as the first time I enjoyed Inception. Like the first time I saw Inception, I was like, I need to watch this right away. Again.
Okay, so this was my argument, is saying like I hadn't watched any Christopher Nolan films in preparation for this, so I was super fresh.
Okay,
like,
that's true.
Like, and that's why I said, like, in my experience, it felt just familiar because I like Christopher Nolan, but it felt, oh, like, yeah, I fucking like this shit. Like, I like this idea of time and the manipulation. So my main thing is when we were talking about the familiarity between the two, because obviously Robert Pattinson, like, and they lay it out in the first scene that they ever talk. And like he orders like, hey, I'll have a gin and tonic, and he'll have a Diet Coke, right? And the guy's, he's like, actually, I like soda water. And he goes, no, you don't.
Well, because he plays it off like he's just been briefed. He's done research, but he really knows him. Yeah.
Right. And but like, that's the beauty of it, right? And that's the cool thing. So like, he is familiar with Denzel, but Denzel's not familiar with him. But those are those subconscious cues that he would like trust him, or there would be some like familiarity that Washington doesn't consciously understand yet.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I can see that.
Dude,
I thought,
oh my god, when they go up the fucking building for the first time,
like the bungee jumping scene,
shit. Because I thought, I'm like, is this in reverse time? No, because they hadn't been through the machine. They didn't know the machine existed. Except Robert Pattinson knew the machine existed.
Well, yeah, he knew it existed.
Yeah, he knew. Oh, dude, there's so many great little twists, like just like fun little twists in this movie that just kind of go, oh, well, of course. Like, it only makes sense that he knows something more than this guy. And then you're like, wow, like, man, being in the future is crazy, you know? Like,
you know, it'd be awesome if you watch it. If you watch it again and you just see a third Robert Pattinson just like watching people with binoculars in the background of every scene.
Masturbating.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is the crazy thing. So he is from, oh my God, this is crazy. So this even adds more to it. So does the protagonist, after the end of the film, he kills the Indian woman and does his deal, and he's like, I'm the fucking protagonist, right? Like, does his thing. He has to go back through the portal fucking time machine thing and then live in reverse for an extended period of time to be able to go back in time and meet Robert Pattinson. He has to.
Why does he go back in time to meet Robert Pattinson?
Because he has to. So that
isn't the implication that Robert Pattinson is from the future and went back in time?
It's not time travel. They have to live in the reverse world for X amount of time, so they age in real time from where the time they came from.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get that.
So Washington has to go back in time, reveal Tenet to Robert Pattinson, like he had somehow, some way, to be able to, because it's still forward.
I guess so. Yeah.
Like he would have to go, which is a few years for him. For the protagonist,
if they knew each other for years. Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like
but then wouldn't there be another protagonist then somewhere in the timeline?
No, because the whole point is there is two of you.
Yes,
but only because one chooses to go back, right? So like there's multiple like levels to this, but I'm saying like if he says I met you, if Robert Pattinson's character says, I met you years ago, you're going to meet me years from now, which means the protagonist has to go back through the turnstile and then go backwards in time. It's the only way.
I don't know, because if you meet me years from now, which would be years in the future, because that's his past at that point. He's just speaking like a person. He's just
No, I know, but that's why I'm saying he's being literal because you have to go in reverse time to be able to
I know.
give.
We've already established that. What I'm saying is though, like, why can't it be Robert Pattinson, the one that just went in reverse time? Why does he have to go in reverse, reveal Tenet, and
Because
then
the
do
thing is,
what?
it has to be generational. They bring up the word generation comes back a lot. So wherever in the future, hundreds of years from now, they have to send people back in. They don't actually have time travel. They can only go experience time backwards.
Well, that's
And
why
everything backwards.
That's why it's objects, because objects can just stay there statically and make it to the past. Yeah.
Okay, but something had to get back that far from the original set point of
Yeah,
the future.
that's how they build the machines. They send them the fucking parts to build the machines.
Right.
Or send them the tech to do it or whatever.
Yeah, but they don't actually time travel. They just go in reverse of time.
I know that. I'm not saying it's time travel. I mean,
but they still age in normal time.
I think
right?
So. I don't know. I don't know.
But that's the whole point of them having to find ways to adapt in the reverse time world. They have to find ways to adapt because their body can't manifest.
Well, it just can't handle it for long periods of time, right? So,
or like any time, they can't breathe, they can't like do anything, which is also kind of just crazy. But like, I don't know.
So somebody was living in a fucking shipping container for a while, quite some time.
Let's say but because he has to go back and meet Pattinson, or Pattinson has to live that reverse experience for X amount of time. Because if he's okay,
well, that's what I think. That's what I think happens is that Pattinson is the one that has to go back for 5 years or whatever. Like,
Jesus, that sucks, dude.
It does suck. I mean, I like your idea is much more like interesting, but I don't think that's what the movie was.
Well, I think you might be right that he actually the protagonist continues on the regular timeline narrative, meets Pattinson, indoctrinates him through open brain insert ideology. Look it up, or the ostrich parasitic syndrome could be that too. And then unicornia. Look it up, and then he has him live in reverse for X amount of years. But how? Fuck.
Well, like you said, the fate of the world is at stake.
Okay, but what is more logical in your mind? Because for me, if Washington had to only go, because you look at Robert Pattinson, he's probably mid-30s. So how long did he work with, and how did Washington gain his trust? Or however, to me, it would make more sense for Washington to go back, meet him at a certain point.
What do you mean saying that is? Well, it wouldn't be a shorter distance of time. It would be the same.
But
and then you have a Washington farther back in the timeline.
But but yes.
What, to build Tenet?
Yes, because he has to go back. He is the crux of it. So, however,
although they don't say he built Tenet. What they say is he is the leader of this operation.
Well, yeah, he's the leader of the pincer move. It's like a huge pincer move. That's what the whole thing is.
Yeah.
So the ultimate move would be him actually not waiting to go forward in the future, because you want to catch this guy when he's younger, when he's a little more, whatever. So you go, and he's obviously he said he was a physicist, or he had a doctorate in physics or something, the Robert Pattinson character. So he probably met him around his college age, told him what's really going on. Then they went back through to go forward in time. He got him to go back forward in time. And I don't know. I mean, it's complicated, but I'm just saying, I think it would make more sense.
Well, I guess you'd have to figure out when those machines actually were built, because that you can only go that far back, right? You would just be stuck in reverse.
Well, what did they tell you though? So they've built these things, have been here for a long time. These things have been here they're like artifacts, but from the future. All these things are artifacts from the future. So those things, as you regress through time, all the damage that could have been done to these things, if there was one functioning one in the future, they could live in reverse, and they just pass down the information generation to generation in reverse to select people.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it would make more sense for Washington, the protagonist, to go backwards.
Well, see, that's the thing. I want
live forward and let
That's
him live in ignorance of certain things.
that's what I would like to know more about is the circumstance of of like how Tenet is made and these future people's plan is developed. Like at this, because it has to all happen in the future.
Well, but no,
Because
they also
the
have to
future,
happen in
there must be
reverse.
like a factions of people. You must have these like anarchists or these nihilists that just like don't want to live anymore and they want to go back in time and destroy everything.
It's the deep
And
state. We're living it right now.
but you
Okay.
also then you also clearly have a faction of people that are like, no, we don't want this to happen, right? Or is it people in our present that were like, no, we don't want this to happen, so we're gonna make
No,
Tenet.
because the whole point is, oh man, man.
So are both
No, because
factions
they're
from the
hiding the
future?
technology from the
Or
future. That's what they want to do.
no, are both factions from the future? Both like pro and anti world destruction? Or did we
Mhm.
have a present time reaction to finding out about what this plan was?
I think it was from the present time, but this is what I'm saying to you. So, like, through somehow, some way, through the generational backtracking, like someone from somewhere got back, kept going back and back and back. And then they ended up being able to pass it down to generation. Like, this is how now you're going to spend 10, 15, 20 years living in the reverse, or they did some sort
No,
of like,
yeah, I know, yeah.
so, but there was a whole military built around this. This was a whole operation. So it had to have been a bigger picture. So what I think is that,
Look, but there's the seed of the notion, the idea, like who decides, who finds out about their plan, and then
that's not clear.
who decide? Well, isn't it uh Andre Sator, the fucking Kenneth Branagh? Isn't he? He's the one that finds it because he's willing. You know, when he was a kid and he was poor, he was
Yeah.
willing to go into these irradiated areas and look for parts or look for old nuke stuff.
No, what does he find?
But then he finds the document and he finds a piece of the algorithm.
But no, but what does he find also?
His heart.
Gold.
What?
So he finds gold.
Yeah, no, but they paid him. They paid him.
Yeah, they paid him, and then he kills his partner or whatever.
Yes.
And yeah, so like they paid
Turns
him
on a
within
dime,
like
dog. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
I mean, honestly, kind of baller, kind of baller. No, but maybe we don't know what it said on that paper. Like, but then again, like, who the fuck would believe it? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I've
I
been
guess
watching Fargo. Shit just happens, bro.
it's all about synchronicity, baby.
Dude,
It
Fargo is
all
such a good
happens for
show.
me.
Can I just say that right now? Fargo, at least first season, is excellent.
Oh, it's
It's so much
excellent.
fun. So much fun.
I gotta catch up with. I kind of want to rewatch season 1 of The Boys because it's like so short. Because season 2 starts Friday, but
Yeah, I can't trust anything. Everything's communist now. Can't.
everything's woke. But not Christopher Nolan movies, everybody. Although that was a pretty woke move having the middleman between the arms dealers be a woman. You know, it's pretty woke. It's pretty effing woke. Um, yeah, that's what I would like to just have like that is the stuff that was the most intriguing, and that's the kind of stuff that Nolan is like, nah, we're not gonna get into
Yeah,
that.
but that's what allows us to have these conversations
Oh, for
to
sure.
dissect, and you know what? And I think that's really the point of his. I'm sure one of his goals is to leave them wanting for more of the story,
Yeah.
and knowing that he'll never give it to you. But it's kind of like a really old, like Shakespeare, something that you can dissect for generations because the interpretations can be so different, and like the themes can really carry weight for a long time. And I think Nolan has that ability, whether or not the dialogue's a little clunky or
Well, this is the one. This one, like, it didn't have a strong, like. Usually, he has some sort of emotional core, which whether or not you think he executes on it well, like you understand it. Like
Right.
in Inception, what's his name? Cobb's Leonardo DiCaprio's character Cobb, like comes to terms with like just wanting to be happy again and like letting go of the guilt of his what happened to his wife and kind of rediscovering himself. Like that's kind of the emotional thing. Interstellar is about like the importance of adventurers, the importance of the achievements of man and the sacrifices they make, and how it is actually at the end of the day, it can be worth it, even if you kind of miss out on your family growing up. Like
Yeah,
capable men have to go out and do the great work,
just
basically.
like Ad Astra, you gotta find your father.
Actually, Ad Astra's like
of the
making
will.
is talking like the reverse
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. But
You know, but that stuff's always there. And this
but-
one, I was like, what was it? It's kind of like, oh, it's about emancipation, about independence, about like, because it's her. It's Elizabeth Debicki's character. She's the one that she's the one that has the emotional, like
arc.
emotionally resonant arc at the end.
Yeah. She definitely. Well, yeah, there's a little bit from the protagonist, I think, as far as like understanding his role in the bigger scheme of things.
Well,
Like
now
he's not necessarily. He's just all powerful, man. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Now he's just gonna be a creep. He's like, yo, leave messages on this phone and I'll find you, girl. I'll find you. I'll be watching from the parking lot.
Crazy. Great cell service in the interdimensional time shift or whatever. It's wild. It is really. I had a great time watching it, and I think it's one of those films that, yeah, dude, go spend a little bit of money. You know, help out Christopher Nolan. You know,
that's a poor Chris. Well, listen, if this does not do okay, you're gonna see a lot of stuff get pushed back until next year.
Well, and this is the thing, dude. I don't even want to get into it. Like, it's like with all the shit that's going on with COVID, like. It's just ridiculous, man. Like I'm sitting there, I'm in a movie theater, which was nice by myself, but you kind of do. I did also miss I was like, wow, like it's a 5 o'clock showing. That's okay. It's not impossible.
5 o'clock on a Tuesday. So.
Yeah, but the movie just came out, and you were kind of. I was a little let down that there wasn't more bold people. Like, you know what I mean? I was like,
I was a little fucking annoyed because when I saw it in IMAX, I was like, no. Stay out of this screening. This is my private screening. To me, I agree with Dan. I think you should give it if you feel comfortable going out, whatever. Like I would.
Don't be a pussy. Don't be a fucking pussy. Vote in person.
But anyways, you can vote in person. If you can protest, you can vote in person. You can go to the grocery store. You can vote in person. Sitting in a movie theater, I would say, is slightly different because you're like sitting literally in a room, an air conditioned room with fans. Like it is different.
Yeah.
But I've already had COVID. I've already had it, baby. I'm the enlightened man.
I haven't, and I've been touching my face since I got home. Whatever, you know.
I've been walking these streets like a Christ-like figure, like a prophet.
I walked into the movie theater, and I brought my mask. I'm courteous, whatever. I'm a fucking sheep, and I fucking walk up to the counter and I'm talking to them, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, like we've been open for a week or two, and like." Nothing. Like people are that afraid, like or that manipulated, and I think it's really even a greater sense for this film. If you want to connect it to the film, it's the manipulation of the mind and the manipulation of sense of self, and like, dude, I'm telling you, like this open brain insert ideology, dude. I
don't totally disagree, but what I would say is people are missing out, man. Like you can go see some great classics for like $5. Right
dude,
now.
I'm about to start going, dude. Because listen, I got some good news, guys. The Bennies are coming. If you know what it means, you know what it means. Got some good news
all
today.
About the Benjamins. Okay. Yeah. I would say the final thought I had leaving this conversation of Tenet is that Christopher Nolan really wants to make a James Bond movie, and I would love Christopher Nolan to make a James Bond movie.
Dude, it would be. I think if he actually didn't have to play with the time manipulation, even though he does, which he always will.
But he could just do something cool like this, that it's just a narrative trick. It's not like a plot.
Dunkirk is a good example.
Yeah.
Of like him able to use the time manipulate. But I'm just saying his action sequences they're bar none. No one can like his action sequences. The way he interprets violence. With the score, with the camera angles, and with like it's not like when you watch the old Chinese like films where they're kind of like those intense like zoom ins and it's just very shaky, or like there's like you see all like it's so quick. But what he's able to do with his framing is I've never seen it. Like like if he filmed Saving Private Ryan, I believe it would have been a better cinematography or cinematic experience. Like Saving, no, like don't get me wrong. I like what I'm saying is the chaos needs to be counteracted with the balance, and his balancing act that he does between just the fucking visceral. Dude, I'm telling you, dude, it literally made me fucking choke up. Like, I felt like I was back in the military, like going through a fucking situation. Like, you're just like, holy shit. Like, it felt real.
Dan's like, I am the protagonist.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, that opening scene, dude, gave me fucking chills. I had like flashbacks of me and my boys, like fucking coming in, like dot, 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 dot. You're like, oh shit.
I was so fucking bummed that when they went in reverse before the final scene in the quarry pit, where the fuck they are, that we were gonna go back to the opera house. I was like, oh cool, is there something in the opera house that we didn't see? And they're gonna go, like, I just wanted to see it again and see it from a different perspective. But
dude, it's something that I almost don't want to know more about at this juncture. Like, even like the filmmaking right now, like I want to, but I don't. I love the mystery. I love the intention behind the film. And I really think it comes down to this. Is like, you know, we're talking about destiny, predetermination, and the manipulation of time. And I think it for me, if I had to sum up the movie in like one sentence or one phrase, I would say your destiny is manufactured by time and what you do with it. Like, you know, it's literally, that's what the movie is representative to me. It's your destiny is manufactured by time and what you do with it. And that's just how I felt when I left the movie.
Okay. I've enjoyed talking about it a lot. It's because there is a lot of stuff to talk to. I mean, we've probably really brushed the surface, you know.
Dude,
these are our first impressions of the movie. It's kind of just
literally just watched it. Yeah. Like, I mean, just back.
It almost feels like when you're done with the movie, I think whether you liked it or not, like it's overwhelming. It's a big fucking movie with big shit going on constantly. So much information to take in.
Oh wait, before we go, we just have to bring up how he crashed the plane into a building, and it was fucking awesome.
But it wasn't as spectacular as I thought it was going to be, because when you see all the trailers and you see these little behind the scenes like promos, of like, yeah, we put a fucking plane into that. That was real.
But dude, this is what I'm saying. The Pentagon, there is no fucking way a plane crashed into the Pentagon on 9/11.
Oh my god, dude!
I'm just saying.
Gus, maybe, dude, he's telling us.
And by the way, if everyone needs to go on fucking Twitter, Twitter, Parler, Facebook, and fucking at Joe Rogan for goddamn these 43 episodes.
I was going to talk to you about this off mic.
I'm just saying. At least go complain if you have a Twitter. Go on Facebook. Say something.
Well, he needs to make a statement. Apparently, allegedly, he reached out to Alex Jones, because I'm sure he was ranting about it, and he just said, "Oh, I'm preserving my favorite episodes on YouTube." I was like, "That is the dumbest fucking thing." Weird.
Hold on. No, listen to me.
What?
If that's true, according to tenets, you know, the tenets we have to live by. No, but if that is true, it actually kind of makes sense to drive, because there's a lot of people on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on YouTube, so he's going to delete everything off of YouTube. If he keeps those 43 episodes on YouTube, that would make sense.
I disagree, because he should just be on both. Listen, why would you fucking have your library of work incomplete? Not only incomplete, but one of them is your biggest episode ever.
Dude,
Alex Jones Returns is only dwarfed by the Elon Musk one.
And I don't even think it's even by that much. I think it's by like 6 million.
Yeah. And what 6 million views between friends? I mean,
right. No, but I mean, that is one of the, listen, guys, I'm pretty Twitter famous. I get a lot of retweets. I'm pretty much one of the top. I'm rising stars, both on Timcast, Facebook fan, and Adamcast. I'm a rising star. It doesn't mean much. I'm also writing a song about abortion. It's fun. It's called "Kill Your Baby." Check it out when it
Kill Your Baby, Save Your Life. I'm gonna have some fun tonight.
I'll give you a line from it. It goes, "You're 6 months overdue." all those bills are piling up inside of you. Just take that with you as we leave.
That's a good one. Okay, that's all right. That's acceptable. Dan usually comes out with some.
Oh my god! You know, like whatever, dude. Like, you know, like you wear my old sweatshirt to school, trying to play me for a gold for something to do with fool's gold.
Okay, we could talk about this now.
All right.
But anyways, everybody, I recommend I have to watch it again.
What's the rating? What's your rating as of now?
Like a 7, maybe
Bag
a
it.
light. It's like a light 7 too. I mean, listen, I really liked it. Like, listen, Nolan, you're gonna
Sean,
enjoy yourself.
Robert Jewell, whatever that stupid fucking movie was, a 7, Sean. You
Richard
gave it
Jewell.
a 7 or an 8. Like, get
Well,
out of here.
Listen, they do different things, man. There's different expectations for a fucking Christopher Nolan time
Uh,
travel fucking espionage film
you're
and the
so full of
story of Richard
You know
Jewell,
what?
a poor.
You dude. Right now,
How dare you talk about Nolan like that? Why you do this?
dude, Wu Tang Clan forever, guys. Wu Tang Clan.
I was like, right, my initial viewing probably like a 7, maybe a 7.5. I'd go watch it again.
Okay.
If I had the chance to, I'd go see it in the theater again. I probably won't, but
okay, Sean.
um,
Okay, everybody. Let me. Sean's lost this. He's lost. I tell you what.
Where do
I
you
tell
think?
you what.
Okay, where do you think it ranks in the Nolan filmography? Like, where is it?
I think it's better than Interstellar, in my opinion. It's better than Interstellar for me.
I disagree.
Sean,
I just rewatched it, and Interstellar
Sean,
finally clicked with.
And you have daddy issues, so don't talk to me, okay?
Well, no, having a son, yeah, definitely changes your perspective on Interstellar.
Sure. Listen, dude, I'm still out here fucking college chicks. That's what I do. So, no, but I'll say, it's worth it. It's worth the money. It's worth the experience. I don't
100%.
care. So go.
That would be my. That's what I would say at the end. Even though, like, I would say it's like a 7, the experience of seeing it in a theater is worth it, and because it is big, it is loud, it is it's fun. It's a cool goofy science fiction movie that takes itself just seriously enough, and then it also is smart enough to know when to make a joke every once in a while. And also, I love that Michael Caine showed up. He's got his Nolan cameo basically, and he's like,
the Indian
guy? Okay, Chris, I'll do it.
Oh, Michael Caine. Oh, I was thinking the Indian guy. He was in Inception too.
He's like, I'll do it, but I'm gonna eat some lunch. I'm having lunch.
Yeah, just dude, talk about acting. Never took the food out of his mouth. I was a little bothered by it, honestly. Like, you've been literally sitting here with food in your mouth. Like, that's commitment.
Yeah, but you know why they do that?
Continuity? I don't fucking know.
No, because they don't want to actually eat it. Because they're doing it for hours.
No, I know that. They have a bucket they spit into.
They do.
I'm a learned doctor.
Like beasts. Like animals.
I live alone, but this is a house of learned doctors.
You know what they do with all that chum, all that chewed up food? They give it to poor kids.
Shut your fucking mouth. All the kids they molest in the back. That's how they eat. That's how they survive.
Yeah. Good for them, right? Good people. They give it to all the sex trafficked kids that they have back in their pizza parlors.
Better than cum.
Well, yeah, a little more sustenance than cum.
Yeah.
I mean, cum's good. It's nice, like a good protein shot, but those kids need a chewed up hot dog every once in a while. You know what I mean? All right, everybody. You have the best one ever, and thanks for listening to our ramblings. Adios.